Hey guys, you're listening to Geek World on Indie 100, The Point in El Ave. We are your superhero superhosts, Anime, Mistress of the Dork, and the man who never stops talking, Dave! Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com, for all the great stuff that's there. Check out all the stuff on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/geekworldradio. Be sure to subscribe because it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And if you don't think it's awesome, then there's probably something wrong with you, like some kind of like psychosis that you might want to like check out.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
Right.
Like, well, after the show. Like listen to the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Because this show won't at all mentally derange you because it's not all about psychos.
Right.
Fighting to the death.
Right.
We one of the great things that we get to do on this show is we get to review cool stuff, and our friends at Funimation like to send us cool things. And one of the things that we wanted to review this week is a really awesome anime they sent us called Juni Taisen Zodiac War.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that, and the whole kind of plot of this anime is it's a battle royale.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about that. And I also want to talk a little bit just about the battle royale genre. And, we'll see where that goes. Maybe do some geek questions, too. It is a crazy, crazy show. I don't even know what I'm talking about at any time. Do you?
Yeah. No, not a clue.
Not
no
one
idea.
clue. Okay, so let's get into Juni Taisen Zodiac War. So this is an anime that is based on a light novel from 2015 that was in Shonen Jump. And honestly, it was one that I wasn't really that familiar with.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before we got the disc.
Now, we're all into a lot of stuff like My Hero Academia and, of course, Dragon Ball Z and a few other things. But this looked really interesting to us. Now, what's really neat about it is that it's essentially, if you guys have seen the anime Fate Zero, it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
In the broad strokes.
Yeah,
way.
it's like if you read the description of this anime, you go, that sounds like Fate Zero or Fate, or any of the other Fate ones.
Yeah. Now, I will have to say though, and as much as I love Fate Zero, and I love Fate Zero very much, I would say that Zodiac War is definitely more digestible from the offset. Like you totally. For me, I understood what was going on, like, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When in Fate Zero, it starts off with some, like, really weird stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well, because there's magic and proxies for the actual fighters, and it's weird.
And Fate Zero, like, makes you just catch up. Like, you're just gonna have to figure it out on your own. Where if they feel like Zodiac War kind of like, you get it. Now, the reason it's called Zodiac War is because, essentially, the main plot is that these 12 mercenaries are all picked, let's just say as tributes, even though that's not true. They're all picked by these 12 warring families to do a battle royale in this abandoned city. And each one of the 12 mercenaries are known as a symbol in the Chinese zodiac. So there's characters like rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and boar. And so each one of these are like, they're the most badass of most badass, right? And essentially they all go at it, and whoever wins is going to be granted one wish. So that's very much sort of in the realm of what was going on in Fate Zero with, like, trying to get the cup or whatever. But at the same time, it's a little more, even though people have supernatural powers, it's a little more like real world based. Like I felt like the characters were pretty well grounded for the most part.
I mean, they were, but they weren't.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of them did have special powers, but, that's anime for you.
Well, what's funny about anime is, like, there's so much that you just kind of accept at the offset, but it's really no different than, like, a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like you're not going like, why does that guy have superpowers? Like, you're not like, I really like that Black Panther movie, but what's up with all the superpowers?
Yeah.
It's like, that should not be a hang-up when you watch a superhero movie. And I feel like with anime, especially, it's the same kind of thing. Yeah, like, someone has supernatural powers, like, you kind of go along for the ride.
Yeah.
And so, but I did think it was pretty cool how they all had powers that sort of translated to what they were, you know, called. Like, you know, and some are like very much, and others only a little bit. Like, for instance, Tiger. Right, is this woman who does like tiger fist kung fu, and she is like, you know, she kind of dresses like a tiger, and so she's like very obvious. But then you get a guy like Sheep, who is like this old man who's an explosive expert. It's like, not, you know, but also what is what's a sheep? You know what I mean? Like, you look at and I think part of the thing is like, you know, when you look at the Chinese zodiac, and I'm not looking at the Chinese zodiac, this is all me making stuff up, but, you know, Sheep is somebody who's like more patient, you know what I mean? And kind of like thinks more.
Killing deceptively.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was so dope. So, like any like awesome like warrior / samurai thing, you know, they were all like proud warriors. They're all like top of their game. And so every time they met one another, they would introduce themselves.
Yeah, it's a formal kind of thing.
Yeah, and so like, you know, Ox would be like, you know, I am the sign of the ox, and he would give his name, and he said killing systematically. And each one would have like a little cool title, and you're like, wow, that's so cool. Now, I have to say, though, this anime is not for kids.
No.
If you're like, oh, I want something, you know, fun for my 8-year-old to watch, like,
this is not it.
Do not recommend it. I think a really big part that drew me into this was really the pilot. Now, what do we always say? I shouldn't even say this anymore because it's an old term. Remember when people used to say YOLO all the time?
Yeah.
I said this thing with, like, you know, the reason a show, at least it should be successful, but at least successful to me, is they go YOLO in the pilot. I guess I should have said crazy in the pilot. And the pilot of this show is crazy.
Yeah.
It is like so nuts. So pretty much every episode is focused around one of the 12 characters.
Yeah.
And so the first episode is about Boar, and she is like a bad lady.
Yeah.
She is a super bad lady.
Well, you're following her, and you're like, you're in her mind, and you're like, you're watching it, and you're like, I mean, I'm interested. This is incredibly interesting, but my gosh, I hope I don't have to be following this character the whole time.
Yes.
Now, our thing is generally, you know, watch 3 episodes of something, you know, first, because generally first episode they sort of give you a introduction.
Yeah.
They throw, sometimes they throw a little bit much at you, but it's an introduction. Second episode is where, like, you really get to know the characters. Third episode is generally where, like, the show actually starts. This is what the show is really going to be.
Yeah.
In this case, that's not really the case. Episode 1 was really, no, this is what the show is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, it's interesting, too, because, you know, like Fate Zero and some other just anime in general, you don't really know who your main character is because there isn't, like, a hero.
Yeah.
There isn't, like, a, like, you know, Naruto is the star of Naruto. Goku is the hero of Dragon Ball Z. It's not like that. It's like, it's an ensemble thing.
The minute you think you've got someone that, okay, I'm going to follow this person, something happens and you're like, nope, not following them.
I will have to say, if you're an anime fan and you like Game of Thrones, this should be an anime for you. Because it's like Game of Thrones where, like, anyone that could die at any second.
Yeah. Also, it's like... one of the nice things is that so many anime, they go on for so long. They've been going on for like 50 seasons, you know?
Right.
And so it's so hard to get into. But because this is based on a light novel, it's a season.
Yeah.
You know,
it's literally 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's just really good. I mean, I really, really like it a lot. It's funny because we love Fate Zero. And I think the thing I love most about Fate Zero was the whole... The sort of like, oh, I know who King Arthur is. Oh, you know, it was what Fate Zero did was they essentially did the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
But in like an anime way, which was really cool. But with this, I feel like, you know, I get these characters that are sort of these interesting new characters, but they all like somehow fit into this idea of the Chinese Zodiac, which is like really neat. And they're all like kind of the worst people. Like, some of them are okay, but I'm a big fan of movies where a bunch of really terrible people are all trying to kill each other.
The thing is that all of them have something to do with war.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them are just bad people that like to do bad things. the ones that aren't, they're good people that want to do good things, but in a violent way, which you're kind of like, maybe I'm not, like, maybe I don't care so much if you die.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the thing ultimately, too, is, like, you're it's essentially like it's a no-win scenario. Like one person will survive, and I mean, I think everybody's pretty familiar with the idea of a battle royale, especially ever since Hunger Games. Because as much as I would love to sit here and say that the movie Battle Royale is what popularized battle royales, it is not. It is the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games was a colossal franchise, and it made everybody really get what that whole thing was.
Yeah.
And I'm not sour grapes about it. I like it, even though it will always be Battle Royale for me.
Yeah.
But it was also really funny, too, because we were talking about the idea of a Battle Royale. Before we started the movie, I remember when... the show. I remember before we did the show, I was like, what about Running Man? Because you and I... when we first heard about the Hunger Games, it was as the book. It was before it came out. And everyone was like, this is like a rip-off of Running Man, right? And in a way, there are some things that are like it. But the thing that you brought up of what doesn't make Running Man a battle royale is
the fact that like there are these hired people, these gladiators that aren't, they're not trying to kill each other.
Yeah,
they're trying to kill the contestants.
Exactly.
It's a separate kind of thing. Yeah, the contestants, like if there were a bunch of them there, they would eventually be trying to kill each other, but mainly they're trying to get through the gauntlet of gladiators.
Exactly. And you're 100% right. And I like that you put it in terms of like the Colosseum in ancient Rome, because that's very much what they were going for in Running Man.
Yeah.
But with this, it is truly a battle royale. Now, what's really funny is with the exception of like, Red Dead Redemption being really great, or, the people that, play, there's all kinds of really popular games. I would say arguably the most famous game at the moment is Fortnite. It's a free game. Everybody's playing it. It's sort of like
everybody's
when
dancing like
everyone's dancing like it. It's like, it's like when Halo first came out, or, really just anything that's super gigantic.
Right.
And Fortnite is a battle royale. And it's funny because Fortnite did not popularize the battle royale. Like, for instance, PUBG came out like a little before it.
Yeah.
And also, what was the one that came out before that? But anyway, but Fortnite right now is the big one. It's the big popular one. And battle royale has gotten so popular recently in gaming that, Black Ops 4, they totally, like, kind of added that function into the multiplayer. I mean, you've hit gold when the guy who always used to be the winner has to acquiesce and change in order to be like the new guys.
Totally.
The old dog has to learn new tricks. Yeah. But I did want to say one of the cool things about Zodiac War was that kind of sort of like I don't know if this was like some of the other ones, but this is definitely like an Escape from New York type idea that every contestant has to basically swallow these jewels. And these jewels, they serve two purposes. The first purpose is that when you kill somebody, you retrieve their jewel.
Yeah, it's the person that actually wins is the one that collects all 12.
Yeah. And also, if there's a 12-hour time limit, and if you go past 12-hour time limit and you're not the last person alive, everyone will die. They will die of a poison.
The jewels
in the
are poisoned. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool too. That's always a fun scenario. But I mean, what were some of the things you liked most about this anime?
I did like how different the characters are. Like, a lot of the time you've got like a few characters in something where it's like, I can't tell you the difference between this one and that one.
Right. Yeah.
In this one, the only ones that would be close to that would be the identical twins.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because they were identical twins, but they are
they had pretty distinct personalities
and distinct traits as the story begins.
I like that it is a morally challenging show, because I feel like they either make you like somebody or make you dislike somebody, but then they kind of flip it around. Yeah, like there's really, I would say there's really only two characters that for me felt like fundamentally like one way. Like, you know, there's one character that's like a total goody two-shoes and one character that is like totally off the rails psycho.
Yeah.
But everyone else is kind of in this gray territory where you're kind of like, I know they're bad and they're a murderer, but I also kind of get where they're coming from, and you know, and because they're all warriors and also they're all like forced to do this too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a situation like the Hunger Games where like they're all pretty much innocent kids forced to fight. Like they're all, you know, bad people, but at the same time, it's like they're also part of the machine, part of the global war machine. And I liked that. I liked the fact that I was both like disgusted, but also like drawn to a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Dog. Like Dog was a bad dude.
Yes,
but I really liked Dog
because he was such an interesting character, and they gave him interesting traits, and yeah, I mean, all of them had these really interesting things. It's like some of them just had a messed up backstory, and it led them into this life that you know, they were victims.
Yeah.
But you know, that were sort of turned into weapons.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But you know, I also, man, like, I like Rooster a lot. Like, it's crazy. Now, I do have to say, there was really only one thing I didn't like about it, and I mean, this is really, I mean, this is one of those problems where, like, if you're gonna call out a single anime for this, you kind of have to call out almost every single anime. I don't know if you know what I'm gonna say right now.
I don't.
I did have a bit of an issue in this show of like every female character wearing hardly anything, because this is not so supernatural that it's like Kill la Kill where they have like some like weird sexy supernatural outfit.
Yeah.
Like they all chose to dress the way they did. And honestly, the weirdest thing to me is that like in the flashbacks of all these female characters, they're all like very clothed when they're like on the battlefield or they're like killing people as mercenaries or assassins. And then they just happen to be in this like very like skimpy, revealing outfit during the battle royale.
At least one of the guys is as well.
That's true. Well, what's funny is the most revealing is Rabbit. Yeah, the guy who's a guy character. So I will give you that. And you know, listen, I understand to a point. You know, like most anime.
I mean, Boar wasn't.
Boar wasn't. Boar was the one outlier.
But the other three were. So
yeah. So I mean, whatever. It's not like the biggest deal, but it also like.
But it's one of those things. It's like, did you really need to?
Yeah. Well, especially with Monkey. I think Monkey somehow bothered me the most.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
it seemed everything she did seemed so logical.
Yeah.
And her outfit was so illogical.
It was really weird. It was like one of those like 1980s like
she's wearing a bomber jacket, and then like garter belts and like weird stockings or something.
She had like all of these clothes and stuff on top. You're right. It was a bomber jacket. She had like a bomber headset too. It was like really weird, and glasses and like all this stuff on her torso, and then like pretty much nothing.
Yeah, no pants.
And you know, I think you can make the case of like, I think they were trying to, she's a monkey, she has to jump around and move around and stuff, and I was like, really?
I don't think they were making that case at all. They did not make that.
I know, and listen, like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, come on, guys. And luckily, at least Rabbit is like, because Rabbit was like crazy dressed. So Rabbit was, because I'm crazy, my favorite character in the entire thing.
Right.
And Rabbit is a certifiable insane madman person.
Yeah.
He is like, he kind of looks like the main character from Tokyo Ghoul. He's like super pale. He's got black eyes with like red pupils.
Yeah.
He's got white hair, and he literally is basically like Daisy Dukes on, suspenders and high heels, and a giant puffy tail that he hides his weapons in.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all Rabbit is. Rabbit is a startling image.
Yes, he's super muscular.
Yes.
It's bizarre. It's the greatest thing when they show him approaching, because it's always the legs first, so you get this high heel stepping out with this insanely like jacked leg. And it's like, what am I even looking at?
He's got like Chun-Li legs,
Yeah.
and you're like, what's it? Yeah. No, it kind of looks like, he kind of looks like a cross between the main character in Tokyo Ghoul and like Frankenfurter from what is it called? From Rocky Horror Picture Show. And he is, like, so disturbing on so many levels. And what's funny is how he's dressed is the least disturbing thing about him. Like, how he's dressed is just kind of fun. But he's very scary. He's a very scary character.
He really is.
And I loved him. I thought he was really great and really dangerous. And he was really funny, too, because he was, can I say what his power was? Because it's really interesting.
Sure, because you find that out pretty early.
You find it pretty early. He's a necromancer.
Yeah.
And so he can bring people back to life.
Yeah.
And he is a very deadly foe. So
Yes.
I really liked actually all the characters in this. That was the other weird thing too, is, you know, you look when you see like character design, like when I first put on the Blu-ray menu and you see all the characters, and I was like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. Like, look how weird they all look. And then, like, we watch the show, and I really like every character.
Yeah. Well, and again, all the characters are very distinct, which is such an unusual thing. You know, it's like they all have very distinct looks. They all have very distinct faces.
Yeah, they really do. And you know, I like the fact that you get the idea that they're all from like around the world. We don't know exactly where they're from, you know. But honestly, guys, I highly recommend this anime. So, once again, if you're in the mood for a dope Battle Royale badass anime, it's called Juni Taisen Zodiac War. You can buy it on Blu-ray right now. Thanks, Funimation, for sending it to us. I just want to say that. Is there anything else you want to say about it, though?
No, I think it's worth watching. And like I said, it's one of those where you don't have to spend like days getting into the anime, like, you know, watching through episode after episode. It's 12 episodes, 12 half-hour episodes.
Yeah. Oh, and I also want to say a really cool special feature they have is called Juni Taisen: The Zodiac Sessions, and basically it's just a kind of a fun video log of all the different voice actors like doing their spiel and then coming out like right after they were done and doing a little interview. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they did it. You know, let's talk about Battle Royale stuff, though.
Yes.
Like, what's the deal, man?
What do you mean?
Like, well, it's such a weird... You know, I think I know part of the allure. So, you know, the first time I ever saw anything that was like a Battle Royale was the movie Battle Royale, the Japanese film. Now, if you haven't seen that, it's great. You should see it. It's really insane. And basically, that was also based on a Japanese novel. And the idea is that, like, in the future, the youth of Japan is out of control. And so the way that Japan deals with this, which is really the only logical way they can deal with it, is they take a random class of seniors, puts them on an island, gives them all explosive collars, and basically forces all of them to kill one another until one is left. As kind of a, you know, like Hunger Games, as kind of a, like, hey, you know, don't mess with us kids.
Right.
Like, this is going to happen to you if you don't stop, you know, being delinquents. And one of the really fun things about it, because it's one of those, like, really... I honestly consider Battle Royale a dark comedy. Yeah. Even though it's really sad and messed up.
It is, but they, like, from the introduction, when they have, like, the little tape that plays...
Yeah, like, it's like an idol girl, kind of.
Yeah, and it's like, you're like, oh, okay, this is meant to be creepy, like, crazy and dark, but it's comedy.
It's irreverent, yeah. I mean, it's definitely... very much like Running Man. It's a little bit like Clockwork Orange. It's just like kind of like a weird, kind of like messed up movie. Natural Born Killers kind of too. But what I really love about it is, you know, in that case, because, well, first off, they're kids, so it's crazy. But second off, I love the fact that each one of them gets a weapon, right, in the beginning. But, like, you know, one kid gets an Uzi and one kid gets a flashlight.
Yeah.
Like, there's really no rhyme or reason. And some of them are, like, really deadly and some of them are really not deadly. And it's, like, a great movie, right? It's one of these great movies. It was really the first time I was introduced to this concept of Battle Royale. But it's funny because over the years we've had more and more of it. So they also had one not too long ago that was that James Gunn wrote. What was that called? The Belko Experiment?
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
that's also a Battle Royale.
Yeah.
That's the same idea as an office building gets shut down and basically everyone in the office has to kill each other until there's only one left. Now, what do you think is the deal with these?
You know, it's tough because I think I think there are a lot of people that are like, you know, that wonder what.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think it's
twisted, but there's people that wonder, like, you know, what would happen if I was in a situation where I had to kill someone.
I think it's a double-sided societal fantasy.
Yeah.
I think that there's the fear aspect of it, which is like, what if I was forced to do this? How horrible. That is so sad and messed up, but the man probably would make me do this because the man, you know, thinks they can play with us like toys. But then the other side of the fantasy is like, this person in the office or that person or my boss or whatever, they all think they're better than me. But you know what? If we had a Battle Royale situation, I'd show them.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I think it's like double-sided fantasy like that, right? Of people kind of like, it's a power fantasy, kind of like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I also think in terms of like movies, TV, anime, things like that, it's one of those things where sometimes they just want an excuse to have it be mostly fighting. You know,
yes,
like, yes, you'll get some intro to your characters, but you know, what are people there for? They're there for the fighting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I really like these movies, and I also really don't. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the problem is you're going into a situation where you know that practically every character is going to die, which is a weird thing to get into. Well, actually, I will have to say too, there is another analogous thing to this, which I hadn't realized until now, and that is that you can look at things like the Hunger Games and Battle Royale. You can also see them being analogous to slasher films of the 70s and 80s, because practically every kid in that movie, except for the last girl probably, is going to be murdered by the bad guy, the serial killer. The only difference is, like, the kids have to do it to themselves in a Battle Royale situation. But there's really, honestly, not that big of a difference. Because they're still being stalked, they're still having to fight, and they're still victims.
Right.
Ultimately. And it's like a really weird thing, right?
It is.
I mean, I think that, you know, it's funny because Fortnite is kind of the obvious end product of all this. It's become commercialized and sanitized.
I mean, Super Smash Brothers, you know, that's a battle royale. Like,
yeah, it is.
It is. Why? Yeah, no, it is. How would it not be?
Well, because it's also just a traditional fighting game.
But it's a battle royale. It's not two people. It's not two characters. It's a whole bunch of characters.
Well, it's like 4 people playing against each other.
4 people because there's 4 controllers.
Yeah,
but it's all of you fighting against each other. That's a battle royale.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, you're not wrong. It's just, I don't know. I guess I don't think about it in terms of like, just fighting games like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter. You know,
those aren't. I mean, those are not battle royales. Those are one against another.
Yeah.
That's not 4 people or more against each other.
No, it's 4 on 4. Yeah. No, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But I think the idea, of like a traditional battle royale though is like many people fighting one another.
Well, I mean, it's a group of people fighting each other. It's a group of characters fighting each other.
But 4 is like so lame when it could be like 30.
Yeah, if there were 30 controllers and they were able to handle it, there would be 30.
That's true. Well, I mean, ultimately death matches have always been that. But I will have to say though, now we're getting into the brass tacks of the game industry of what makes a battle royale game different, and that's the fact that it's surviving. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate thing, not killing. Yeah, because like a death match, you die and then you respawn immediately almost. Right. With a battle royale, you die and you're dead for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, in some cases it is about killing though. If you can win on points, because there's ones where it's like you could win on points even if like somebody else lasts longer.
Yeah. I also want to say that, like, I cannot believe we live in this time where, like, I know I don't want to get into this and everything, but I just have to because I've been really thinking about it and it's in the news. But, this November, we're going to have a Goku balloon at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
It's true.
And that is the most amazing thing of all time. I just never thought, The guy, I just never thought that Proud Saiyan would ever make it this far, but he has. I am so excited. I just have to like give like Funimation props for like getting that done. Yeah, because that's amazing. It really is. I remember when I saw the Pikachu balloon, I was just like, "This is like the best thing ever." You
were taking pictures of
I
took
the
pictures
TV
of the
TV.
Phone.
I did because this was like a momentous occasion for me. I thought it was like the neatest thing ever. Yeah. I was like, the geeks have clearly won. Yeah. You know, well, you gotta remember, as a kid, too, like, the first time I saw the Spider-Man balloon, I was like, yes! Because it's, you know, it's inclusive. When you're a nerd, and you're like, this is nerd stuff, and then you see your nerd thing as a part of a greater thing that, like, everybody, quote-unquote, everybody appreciates, you're like, yay! But, you know, that's the thing, Goku is, I mean, we were now at a point in time where Jaden Smith is doing Goku songs, so I don't even know anymore what's happening. Also, like, the fact he's blue hair Goku, me as a long-time Dragon Ball Z fan is like, but I get it.
That's what it is right now. Yeah, you know, they're not going to do the ones that like people watched, you know, years ago. It's what's hot right now.
I know, it's cool.
What's hot right now is Goku with blue hair.
Yeah, Goku with blue hair is so in right now. But I'm so excited for that, so I will definitely have to check that out. But you know, one of the things that we like to do on this show, now that we've talked about the very cool Juni Taisen Zodiac War wars, and also
before we get to that, guys, go see the movie Prospect in theaters.
Yes!
Sci-fi Western, brought out by Dust that I work with. So
boom.
Go see it.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome, super fun.
Can we say what they'll hear if they go to it? Can we say?
If you go, you might hear a familiar voice in the theater.
Ooh, is it my voice?
No, it's not yours.
Oh, then I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it Pedro Pascal's voice? Will you hear him in the theater?
You will during the movie.
Oh, okay.
But introing the movie, you may hear a familiar voice.
Oh, that's very exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get to before we get to these very important questions?
Let's go to the very important questions.
All right. So, if you guys have been listening to our show a long time, you know that sometimes we like to do a little thing where one of us, both of us, this time just one of us, because one of us takes his job very seriously and the other one doesn't. Yeah. One of us will ask the other one impromptu questions. They don't know what they're getting because it wouldn't be fun if you knew ahead of time.
No, not at all.
And you better answer them. And I'm going to be doing the Jeopardy theme. No, I can't actually. No. They'll make us pay money if I do. But here we go. This is the first question. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck had a machine gun?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you.
Let's not do that one. Okay, so the real question is, I thought that was the funniest thing when I wrote it, so I just have to...
You didn't actually write that, did you?
Oh, it's 100% on here. I'd show you, but then you'd see the other questions.
Oh, wow.
It's literally... Oh, yeah.
That is very
Dave. Do you think I could just, like, come up with that on the spot? That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Should win some kind of award for that. Okay, so the first question I have for you is, in all seriousness... okay. And because you don't always play video games, this can also be when watching, because you also do that, but have you ever been scared playing a video game? Like, genuinely, like, ugh!
It's an interesting thing because, you know, like, loud noises in general just make me jump. So I do get startled by loud noises in anything, be it a game or whatever. I do think, though, that the newest Resident Evil game, or was it?
Yes!
It's the newest one, right?
Yeah.
Particularly when I was playing it in VR at E3.
Oh, God.
Because you're so immersed. You've got the headphones on, you've got the mask on, and so it's like... You know, I just remember, like, it, you know, forced you to do certain things, and it made me climb down, and I saw someone against the wall, and it reminded me of Blair Witch, and I was like, nope, going back, and they're like, oh, yeah, you can't go back up the ladder, and I'm like, damn it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, because everything around you is, like, your senses are closed off, it was really freaky, and the music, and the sounds, and the like... being on the border of nausea.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that. Yeah, a lot of people, right?
A lot of people went beyond just being on the border of, but like, it's like that unease in your stomach that like, it was creepy. What about you?
Yeah, well, I will say that Resident Evil, like, I feel like if I played that in VR, like, that scene where you wake up and the family is there and they're, like, torturing you it's too much. Yeah. It's crazy and it's freaky. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember as a kid, the first time I played like Resident Evil, and you play Resident Evil now, the first one, and it's so silly. It's all tank controls and bad graphics. But the first time, I was just walking through the mansion, and the freaking dogs burst through the windows. I jumped. I jumped through the roof. I thought it was the freakiest thing ever. And it wasn't even the dog scary. It was just like, you know, like it was that sudden like horror movie jump scare. Though, that being said, I never played Silent Hill at night. Yeah. Every time I played Silent Hill, it was just too much. It was an unnerving game. Yeah. But those were kind of the big ones. You know, as an adult, not quite as much, though. There's definitely been times that I feel like certain games have been like, ugh. Yeah, I mean, but we also don't play a lot of horror games. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, like the fear that you feel is just the like, oh God, I know that there's a guy coming and I don't know where to go. Yeah. You know, but it's not the same kind of like horror fear. I will have to say though, I definitely have got chills. Like Heavy Rain gave me a lot of chills. Yeah, like that one was like, that was scary in a different way. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of like disturbing games for sure. But we also stay away from a lot of horror games. So, we never played that Slender Man game. There's also that one, that like Alien game, Alien Isolation. Yeah, people were so freaked out with that one. And I think they did that one in VR too, didn't they? I think you can. I think you can do that in VR now. All right, so this is funny. This is actually really funny because I wrote this question a while back, and I did not mean for it to fall at this period, this month, but I wrote it down, so I'm going to ask, what fictional character would you want to be president? It's funny because we've actually talked about this before. Have we? Yeah. I mean, I think when we talked about it, it might have been comic book character. Yeah. But at the time, what I said was, I'd like Black Panther. Yeah. That being said, obviously couldn't because he's not American. Fair. But the fact is that, like, you know, for me, the way it was is like Black Panther. He's got the experience. You know, he's led a country. He fights for good. Yeah. You know, he already has relationships with other nations. And he is from a land that is incredibly technologically advanced and would support sciences in our country. Man, that's a really good answer. So that's very good. That's well thought out. Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, T'Challa is amazing. Yeah. I would. I mean, obviously, there's all the caveats there, like particularly the fact that he's not American. I was just going to say Jean-Luc Picard, but he's not American either, so it doesn't really matter. That's true. I kind of think that since he's a fictional character anyway, I don't think the whole American thing really matters. Per se. I mean, if it's president, it sort of does. I mean, it sort of does, but they're also fictional. Yeah. I guess president of what? yeah, exactly. The world. President of some tiny company. Yeah, I know. Oh, wasn't the doctor president of the world? Didn't they make that joke at one time? Like when an alien invasion happens, the doctor is basically the president of the world, I think is what they said, or the prime minister of the world. Something weird like that, yeah. I love Doctor Who. So good. Okay, who is your favorite? Well, this is a little late. This should have came last show, but it didn't. So whatever. Who is your favorite horror villain? Wait, you asked. I did ask this, didn't I? Never mind. Yeah, you asked this last week because we had time for one question. This is a really good question. So before I ask this question, I am going to. You know, there's high expectations now. Yeah, it's really good. I'm really impressed by this one. Okay, so we're both millennials, right? But the younger generation under us, Generation Z, okay? Now, do you have any idea? So Generation Z are people born between 1995 and 2010. Okay. So currently, the oldest person in Generation Z would be 22 years old. Any of you Zers out there listening to us, thanks. So the oldest person is Generation's 22, right? So, what movie from the 80s would you recommend to someone in Generation Z? Ooh, that's a good question. I told you it was a good question. Because the thing is, like, as much as, like, one of the funny things about getting older, and you don't have to listen to this while you're thinking, but one of the funny things about getting older is, like, people that are much younger than you, they just don't get your references. And how could they? Like, they were born outside of the realm of certain things.
Right.
And so, like, you know, a lot of people of Generation Z have not seen Terminator 2. You and I are like, how could you have not seen Terminator 2? You know, and that's the thing. And at some point, there's going to be people who never saw Avatar.
Right.
And people are going to be like, how'd you never see Avatar? You know? And on and on and on again. And so this is the thing that happens. So, me being a nice guy, thinking about our younger listeners, I was like, yo, you're probably only going to watch a few movies from the 80s. Maybe you'll watch a bunch, maybe not. But I try to think about, like, how the fact that you and I have only seen so many movies from, like, you know, the 60s or the 70s, you know? So, basically, I'm thinking...
80s and 90s or just 80s?
Let's stick with the 80s right now.
That's tough.
Is there something from the 80s you feel like... you should definitely see this. And it could just be because you like this movie. It doesn't have to be like, this is the most important film of the 80s.
It's funny that, like, because Terminator 2 is one of those, but at the same time, like, thinking about it now in my head, I'm like,
Well, that's the 90s, by the way. So
But with a lot of these things that come into my head, I'm like, I don't think it holds up. You know, like I in certain ways.
First off, how dare you?
No. In certain ways, it does hold up.
Yeah,
but there are certain other things that that kids watching would just be like, I can't even like look at that. You know what I mean? Like
easy money. You don't think 90s John Connor is not something that translates to every generation? I feel like I wanted to be that kid so bad.
Yeah, no, I do think Terminator 2 is one of the ones that does hold up. I think a movie like Jurassic Park, which was also 90s.
John Connor, I believe, is still today a hero to kids. Because think about this, okay? What are the 3 traits of John Connor, okay? He's great at video games. He can steal from ATM machines by hacking them. And he drives a dirt bike around LA. And he's like 8 or something. Like, those things are still cool today.
Yeah.
Those are, like, John Connor rules. And he's basically the messiah of mankind. So, thanks, James Cameron.
You know, maybe Alien.
Oh,
that's 80s, right?
That's the 70s.
Dang it!
Well, you made a choice, so that's good.
The thing is, it's like I don't know.
You picked the 70s and the 90s, and nowhere in between you landed the 80s.
Well, because I'm trying to think of things that really do hold up.
Yeah,
and it's like while you know Sigourney's hair doesn't hold up, you know, and that the movie does. True. There's so many movies that, you know, because I was a little kid, I definitely wouldn't have seen them in theaters anyway. Well, obviously that one I wasn't born yet, but...
What's really funny is I was going to say 80s, and then I was going to ask 90s, and so you already kind of answered... you've answered the second question I did not ask.
Yeah, and I still haven't figured out one from the 80s.
So yeah, I agree. Well, with the 70s, I definitely agree with Alien. Alien is a great movie.
Yeah.
And I think because of the way Ridley Scott shot it, I still think it's effective because he shot it in a way where the shadows... basically the way that, Steven Spielberg shot Jaws. In a way that, like, basically you don't see a lot of the monster, and that ultimately makes them more scary than, like, the CGI versions of the Xenomorph as years went on. Now, I don't disagree with T2, especially in the CGI world.
But what about the 80s? Like, I cannot... my brain will not, like... figure out something from the 80s. I don't know.
RoboCop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my choice will always be RoboCop. It is insane.
It is.
It is an insane movie that's really clever, really weird, really... You watch it and you're just like, how is this like a big movie?
Yeah.
How did this get greenlit? How did this get made? Like, it's too weird and violent and sexual to be a giant movie that spawned video games, toys, cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely insane. It is the kind of movie that shows that if something makes money, there is no bounds to, like, how much it can be transformed into children programming.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
literally insane. It's literally insane. But also that being said, it's a great film. For me, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Because, I don't really love a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah.
As much as, like, I feel like I should, I don't really like almost any of the John Hughes movies. I know, like, everybody my age is like, oh, Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. I never liked those movies. I always felt like all the characters are crappy. I couldn't follow any of them. And, like, I also was just like, what am I supposed to be taking away from these movies? Like, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I still don't get what I was supposed to take away from that movie.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I kind of feel that way about all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do like about Breakfast Club is that the idea of, like, you know, everyone sort of accepting one another at the end is kind of cool, but also not really.
Yeah.
They transformed Ali Sheedy.
Yeah.
They literally took the goth girl and said, you're acceptable now that we
we've
put
transformed
you in pink and put you in makeup. Like, it's gross, frankly. It's like most things of the 80s, completely fascist.
Yeah.
So I don't really like those movies that most people consider like the great 80s movies.
Right.
And also, as much as I love the Rocky movies, they're so ludicrous.
Yeah.
Like the original Rocky, it's funny because I work with a girl who the other day, you know, she said she never watched any Rocky movie, and I was like, if you're gonna do it, watch the first Rocky and watch Creed.
Yeah.
Those are the two best ones. Because, like, from an outside point of view, like, someone like me and my age, you know, I'll be like, oh, I love Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, because I do. I love those movies. But they're ludicrous.
They are.
They're completely crazy.
Yeah.
And to have somebody who's, like, outside of the 80s watch them, they'll be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like expecting, like, your parents to watch Beyblade.
Yeah. Ooh, Star Trek 4 Save the Whales.
Nice.
That's the 80s, right?
I think that's not a bad choice.
It's that one, like, the whole joke of it is
Yeah.
that this is the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, it's a world, like,
it's a pretty good look at, like, 1986, I think.
It's funny
85,
because
86.
it's future characters. It makes it into this weird period piece.
Yeah.
But a period piece done at the time that it's taking place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love Predator. I gotta be honest. I
Yeah.
always tell people, like, Predator is the... You know what movie I was thinking about the other day? Speaking of 90s movies, that I think actually is one of the best 90s movies is True Lies.
Yeah.
That's a movie that I think never gets its true, like, the true respect it deserves. It is a brilliant action movie.
Yeah.
And it's and everyone's the best they've ever been in it. And I just love that movie. It's cute, it's funny, it's the action's great.
There's so many great Arnold movies.
There really are. I mean, Arnold,
Last Action Hero.
Arnold owned the 80s.
He really did.
He really did. I mean, like, Sly ultimately had more longevity than anybody, but Arnold owned the 80s. And those were pretty funny times. Yeah. And also for the 90s, and I can't imagine anyone not seeing this, but if we're gonna go out in here, The Matrix.
Yeah, well...
If you haven't seen The Matrix, like... You should
weird,
you
yeah.
should see The Matrix. Yeah, but and that's the whole reason I brought it up, though, is, like, I fully understand, like, people missing stuff.
Yeah, totally.
You know? It's like, I went and saw The Exorcist, you know, later in life because it was one of those things. You know, or no, actually, Exorcist isn't a good example because a lot of people have seen The Exorcist. The French Connection. I watched that because, you know, I went to film school and all that stuff, but if I was just a regular guy,
Yeah.
I would have never seen The French Connection. There's
Yeah.
no way. Like, what would have driven me to see The French Connection, you know? And though the movie has got some really, like, not cool, not woke things for today, still, like, it was a pretty great movie for its time, and I appreciate it. So that's why I think this stuff is important. Gotta educate the youth.
Yeah.
The two youths.
2 youths.
Like, there you go. My cousin Vinny. My cousin Vinny is definitely Anna's choice. If you had to play a game of Jeopardy with one partner for the fate of the world, who would it be? A real-life person who exists right now.
I mean, wouldn't you just, like, choose someone like Ken Jennings?
Ken Jennings is the right answer. This is the only one that has an actual correct answer.
I mean, that's
it's
the guy
definitely Ken Jennings.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he won so much.
Yeah. No, that's right. You did it. So I want to ask you about... this is kind of a Star Trek question. Is that okay with you?
I am totally good at that.
Do you think the Federation could deal with the Daleks?
Ooh, that is a very good question.
It's tough, huh?
It is, because, like, their whole thing is sort of not getting involved and stuff. But dealing with the Daleks would be very similar to dealing with the Borg.
Yeah, it would.
And they can't really deal with the Borg.
Yeah.
I do think that they would have that they would have issues. I think unless somebody could find a tribble solution,
right? Yeah,
it would be really tough.
They do have very advanced science, though, and when you think about how the Doctor always uses science to fix things, theoretically they could do it, but it would be a really hard situation.
Yeah,
because I was thinking about it the other day, because the Borg and the Daleks, though they're alike, are not exactly alike, and so it would be very difficult. And another question: do you think the Doctor could deal with the Borg?
I mean, again, I think that once again you've got something that he deals with already that's like that in the Cybermen. Between the Cybermen and the Daleks.
That's true.
That is the Borg,
Yeah.
Like, so, yes, but he's never been able to deal with them in a way that they've been permanently gone,
That's true.
They find their way back, but yeah, I mean, I think in the temporary he could totally deal with them.
They always come back. And really, this is my last question, so we better find something else to talk about in the next 10 minutes. Are we currently living in a simulation?
Oh, yeah, I'm not even going to go there.
No, go there. No, I don't care. Why not?
Because, I mean, I don't know. Like, we could be, or we might not. I don't really know where to go with that.
I just kind of feel like, what would be the point if we were?
I mean, I guess who would be putting us in the simulation? Like, is it if they do that, would it be body? Like, would we actually have bodies like in the Matrix that we could go out into, or are we just computer programs? Is it just to test a computer, or is it to like test humanity and where we are and if we're worthy or of something? Or
it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird questions of like nobody ever took this stuff seriously until Elon Musk started talking about it, and now every once in a while you hear people like, "Are we living in a simulation?" It's like, maybe.
I mean, really, is that true? Is that true though? I mean, wasn't that the whole thing with the Matrix?
It was, but I don't think people really thought about it too seriously after the Matrix.
See, I disagree.
Think so?
People I knew were totally talked about that.
Well, maybe it just made a comeback thanks to Elon, but I feel like ever since Elon Musk did a bunch of interviews about it, I've heard more and more people actually talk about it.
Yeah,
because I just felt like with the Matrix, it's sort of like it's like. Yeah, there were pirates in the Caribbean, but, not Captain Jack.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever. So weird. All right, well, we just got an open forum now. I don't know what to talk about, man.
We really did. We have a completely open forum.
Love, The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows that I feel like is so advanced in the term of horror storytelling. But also very much in the framework of like what makes it's funny when I watch it, even though it's not based on Stephen King, it's based on what's her name who wrote Catch 22. I can't remember her name right now. Yeah. Even though it's based on Shirley Jackson, that's it. Even though it's based on a Shirley Jackson book, I feel like it's the kind of storytelling that made Stephen King famous, because you really care about these characters, you're really invested in them.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because I've never read the book, and there have been 2 movies made in the past.
We've seen both.
Yeah. And the TV show is so much better, but it's also very different. It seems to be, from what I can tell, it seems to actually be a mixture of the story of Haunting of Hill House mixed with the Conjuring story.
Yeah.
Which, I think it works really well. This is also one of those shows where everybody is going, oh my god, it's the best thing, you should watch it. And I know for a lot of people that's like, yeah, I'm just not going to watch it. Everyone, could it really be that good? Or or people just like to be contrarian sometimes.
Yeah.
And this is one of those cases where it's like, honestly, it's worth it. It's worth giving the time. It's not a huge investment of your time, Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, I feel like it works on 2 levels, because I feel like I have a lot of friends who are not horror people. We're not really horror people. I like horror movies, but I'm not I have to watch this stuff. I think it works on both levels, though. I think as from emotional, it's kind of like the Babadook. There's like emotional character work going on, but there's also some like really genuine frights going on.
There's also some incredible camera work and some like incredible directing. There's great acting in it.
Yeah.
It's worth it on so many levels.
I really agree. So let me switch subjects really quick. So, Venom is kind of I feel like a surprise hit of the year, right? It's like Venom came out and people were like, the trailers and stuff, but then it made like all the money. Do you think Aquaman is going to pull a Venom, or do you think it's going to bomb?
It's a good question. I
can see a world where, surprisingly, Aquaman makes a decent amount of money.
So here's the thing. Like, after Comic-Con, the two things that people actually seemed to care about were Aquaman and Shazam.
Yeah.
Which was surprising. But I think it's because, like, you know, they had a little bit of a sense of humor. They weren't in that, like, stupid, like, everything is dark and the worst, you know, that, like, the DC universe had seemed to be going in their cinematic universe. So I think there is a chance. The question is, will people trust them? Because it's like, even the times when it's like, okay, you know, we've been angry at you before, but Suicide Squad, I've watched these trailers, it's going to be amazing. Yeah. And you go and you're like, you freaking did it to us again.
It's true. They don't have a lot of, they have not emboldened a lot of trust.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just weird. You know, I keep on thinking about that movie. I'm just like, I don't know how it's going to turn out.
I also, like, when is it coming out?
Oh, I think it was Christmas, unless they moved it. They might have moved it.
I feel like I haven't heard anything about it recently.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
Yeah, maybe they moved it, yeah.
I feel like it should be out already. You know, I feel like I've been hearing about it for long enough that it's weird that it's not out. And part of that is just because, like, you know, the character was in Justice League and da-da-da-da-da. But, like... It feels weird that I'm still waiting for it.
I agree.
But yeah, I really haven't seen anything for it. So, but I do love Jason Momoa. So
me too. You know, it's funny. I feel like, you know, this year is a year you can say it was a great year for horror. But then I start thinking about, isn't every year a great year for horror?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing because horror really has broken through. I mean, like you said, every year. You know. Yeah. But I think the real thing about it is that it's just sort of proven itself again and again that it is a genre that people want more of.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's interesting, too, because I don't really think A Quiet Place is a horror movie, really. I mean, it's sci-fi horror, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is horror.
It's more of a sci-fi psychological horror.
Psychological horror?
Yeah, because
I think it's more like a suspense thriller.
Okay, that works, too.
Because I'm just trying to think of the psychological aspect of it. Because psychological horror tends to be like people with like amnesia or like are seeing things or, you know, like there's like switcheroos going on. That's a little more psychological horror, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Quiet Place is more of like it's kind of survival horror essentially.
Yeah.
But with a sci-fi sort of tinge to it. But yeah, no, that was I really love that movie a lot. That was really great. And how excited are you for Gladiator 2?
It's so weird.
I know.
It's so weird.
I know.
Like, I heard about that and I'm like, it's not April yet, is it? You know, it's like, you think, like, is this just some sort of joke? Was this something from The Onion?
Yeah,
you know,
I know. You're just like, why?
Why?
Yeah. No, it's true. It really is. I mean, it's the same thing with like they're doing another Top Gun movie. You're like, okay,
are they though? I mean, haven't they been doing another Top Gun movie for the last like 20 years?
There's pictures out of Tom Cruise on the motorcycle with Jennifer Connelly shooting Top Gun 2.
Yeah.
At least I like that his co-stars are becoming slightly more age appropriate for him as he gets older.
In general, have been like the Mission Impossible ones have largely been much more age appropriate.
It's good. Yeah,
it is.
It's just it's you know, it's the world we live in. What are you gonna do?
It's a weird world.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that we just haven't gotten around to seeing.
I know, it's tough. Life is so hard.
I know.
You can't watch all the stuff you want
busy.
to. But you know what we did watch and we really liked? Juni Taisen, Zodiac War.
That's true.
I really loved it, though. I seriously did. So thanks, Funimation, for sending that to me. And is violent.
It is.
Is very, very violent. Once again, don't let your kids watch it.
Yeah.
It is super violent.
Yeah, and you know what? Like in some of the upcoming episodes of Geek World, we might be reviewing some more of the ones that they sent because there were a bunch that seemed really interesting.
Yeah. And you know, other stuff. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this world.
You don't know what's going on in this world?
I literally have no idea.
No idea.
No.
Wow, that's impressive.
Do you think people can tell we've been wasting the last few minutes like crazy?
What? We have not been wasting time.
I don't think anybody has picked up on that.
No,
You're going to delete this from the show, right?
Nope.
You're not going to play this part.
But at that, guys, don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com. We'll be back with you next week, same time, same place.